see them all the time. He's mine too. I can make them do all sorts of stuff. It is a powerful, powerful thing. They're gonna play some songs tonight. Oh, no, they're playing. You're all playing. I don't want to hear anything different. All right? It gives me great pride and pleasure to introduce the Lacey Township High School Jazz Band under the direction of Mr. Chris Monty. Round of applause. They have 3 selections this evening, as the other bands did. Their first one is Turning Point by Doug Beach, with soloist Christopher Ramos-Barrios on bari sax, Hayden Van Arsdale on trombone, and Riley Callis on alto sax. Then New York State of Mind, Billy Joe song, with soloist Riley Callis on alto sax and Eric Stroin on alto saxophone. And they're going to finish this evening with Blue Bossa by Kenny Dorn, with soloist Eric Stroin on alto saxophone and Sarah Rush on tenor saxophone. Mr. Montague, are you ready? I turn the stage, the audience, and I'm sure some are thankful, the microphone, over to you. Have a good night. Great show.
Hey, so awesome to see so many people here tonight. Mr. King pretty much said anything I was going to say, so I don't know what to say. Other than that was Turning Point. Like I said, next up we have New York State of Mind. This is Billy Joel tune arranged by Eric Richards. You're going to hear from Eric Strain on the alto saxophone first. And then Ronnie Kels is going to come up. So enjoy New York State of Mind. That is a great arrangement, isn't it? It's funny how sometimes you find things by mistake. I found that one last summer when I was just generally going through YouTube. And I saw this Japanese saxophone player. She had outlandish hair and neon colored clothing on. It's in New York City. I said, let me watch this. And I watched it. I said, yeah, Eric and Riley could pull that one off. So I sent them an email, said, hey guys, what do you think about this? You want to do this next year? They're like, oh yeah. So I had to search to find it because it's not readily available anywhere, but I found it. And there it was. So that was New York State of Mind. It's a great arrangement. I absolutely love it. It's a lot. When these guys play the way they play, it just makes doing this a lot of fun. I think every band director out there will attest to that. It's just when it gets to this level, it's a lot of fun. So the next thing we're going to do for you is a jazz standard, as Mr. King said, it's Bubasa. You're going to hear Eric Strani on the saxophone. You're going to hear Sarah Rush on the tenor. You're going to hear more from me when we go to awards after we're done with our performance. So we'll have a little break. We'll let the judges do their thing, and then we'll come back and we'll have awards for you guys. All right. So enjoy Bubasa.